The views and opinions expressed on the cap are those of the hosts. They do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of OldMilk Media. Any opinions stated aren't intended to offend anyone. All right, episode 404. Before we get into it, Taylor, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you. You're not being the best guest right now. I like 3 games ago, I kind of cleared off some space on my couch so that you can sit down with me next to me. And for some reason, you haven't shown up yet. What the fuck is your problem, dude?
Hey, Derek White. Derek White didn't want me to. I mean, actually, what's crazy is I'm always on the couch. For the last 40 episodes I've been on the couch, or however many episodes I've been on the couch. But yeah, sorry I haven't made it, man. We'll see how this afternoon goes, tonight goes, and then either I'll be on the couch or we'll have another 2 weeks.
Well, again, I cleared off a lot of space that I could be using. I kind of want to put my feet up and stuff like that, but I'm trying to be a good host here.
No. Put your feet up. Put your feet up. I'm gonna say that I'll be there in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. We'll see. Hopefully tonight. But again, we'll see. If you guys haven't caught on yet, we're talking about what will happen tonight as we are recording this on Monday, May 29th, which is game 7 of the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat Eastern Conference Finals series. And to be honest, on one hand, it's great basketball. On the other hand, and I'm not mad about this, but I'm kind of expected there to be a week of me not really knowing what to do with my life because the Celtics were going to get swept. And despite what LeBron wants the narrative to be, the Lakers got swept as well. But game 6 was really an all-timer. The Heat definitely gave you a few heart attacks in the last 2 minutes, coming back from down 10. And then Derek
White. You want to talk about giving. I mean, Jimmy Butler was horrible the whole game. And then in the last 2 minutes, he was like, I'm going to run the sprint at the hoop and fall down play. And it worked. Again. He's tough James Harden. Small Joel Embiid. That's it. That's all he is.
Okay. Coming from a Marcus Smart supporter, I don't know what this energy is because we all know
Marcus Smart is a role player. He's not the number one guy on the team doing this stuff.
Still, though, I mean, he's the number one leader on the team. He's the number one something.
I know, but Jimmy's the one who's supposed to be carrying it. Jimmy's the one. I mean, if you're going into the fourth quarter 3 for 19 or something like that, and then he's finished at 24 or whatever. But I'm not even mad at the Horford one at the end because I think that was a foul, and then there was a Horford one before that was also a foul. It's driving into Derek White and Jason Tatum, and both of them are going straight up and blocking it, and they're giving them the free throws. And it's it is what it is. If you get to the rim, I almost even wouldn't have been even talking about this at all if Jimmy had been having a good game. Because when they're in the flow, it's hey, when Tatum, starts approaching 30, 40, and he starts just putting his head down, getting to the line, I want him to get those calls. And it's almost you deserve those calls. But if you're 3 for 19, it's come on, now you're getting bailed out. But it is what it is.
I mean,
the other
side of that argument would be that if you're 3 for 19, maybe there's some missed calls in there.
He was leaving bunnies short.
Yeah.
He was hitting the bottom of the rim, kind of. You know what I mean? Doing that little push shot. He just had a tough game, and that's fine. But I don't know. As a fan though, this series has been exhausting. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine what players feel especially the Celtics, because they've gone 7 in the second round and conference finals 2 years in a row now. And when you really think about it, so they went 6 with Atlanta. They've played this will be their 20th game of the playoffs. That's a quarter of the season.
Yeah.
So they you know what I mean? If you look at the whole season, this is 5 quarters of the season that they're about. I mean, and if they play again, they have maybe another 7 games to tack onto. So you're approaching 30 games, and I don't know. It's just, I'm happy with how this series went because 2 sweeps would have really sucked, just from a pure basketball fan perspective,
Then we
getting
have to
swept, like
hear a week
Celtics
of
fan, that
everyone
would have
talking
sucked.
about nobody wants to listen, nobody wants to watch Miami versus Denver. Like, what is this?
Which
Is
is
this
some
even real
bullshit too.
basketball?
Like,
Yeah, it's the stupidest
yeah,
shit ever, but that would have
just
been
like,
what the conversation would have
if
been.
that's correct. I hate that. I hate that argument so much. That
Agreed.
like, oh, like it's like, all right, then you're not here for the right reasons. You know what I mean? That makes me feel so old to say that, but it's like,
I
why
mean,
are
it's
you
true
watching
though.
basketball if you're
Like,
mad about basketball?
one of the reasons why basketball is so great is because it's legitimately a male reality TV show. Like it's a reality TV show for men. And that's what makes it so great. But at the same time, it's there's still no scripting involved. At least I'm sure some people who bet a lot of money probably disagree with me, but from my perspective, it seems like there's no scripting involved at all. So because of that, you have to embrace the fact that going into every single series, you know that you don't know what's going to happen because obviously it's going to be in the future, and unless you have a time machine, which I don't, then what are we really mad about here? We should be happy that we're seeing a franchise get to the finals for the first time in NBA history and might face a team that realistically going into the play-in, we didn't give them a shot in the Miami Heat. And then on the
No,
other
and
side,
I think it was fair to not give them a shot. I mean, watching that first
agreed.
playing game, they just like gave up against Atlanta, and then they almost lost to Chicago. You know what I mean? Like
Well, they weren't
they,
going to.
I know, but like, and that's another thing too. And I don't know. It brings into question like the everything with the play-in tournament. It's like, yeah, they're the 8 seed, but it's almost like they kind of were okay being the 8 seed. It's not like they snuck in as the 8 seed. It's like no, and I don't know. I think tonight's going to be a great game. I hope it's a great game. Obviously, I wouldn't complain if it's similar to Game 7 against the Sixers. You know, like just a big like from the beginning. But I don't anticipate that. I anticipate it
No.
being a very difficult game all around, and I hope that honestly, I hope Jimmy and Bam play better on their side. I hope the Celtics shoot better from three so that we see like an actual good game because the last one was game 6 was a great game, but like the Celtics were up 10 with like 3.5 left. And then it got really, really like messy for like the
Yeah.
last 2.5 minutes. It was just like, all right, free throws, free throws, free throws, missed layups. Question of like the last 2 minutes report said there was like fouls, which whatever. I don't give a shit about any of that. And then it's like you have 3 free throws that could have won the game, and then you have and it was an awesome play, obviously, but like it's like a missed three and a putback. So it's not like
Yeah.
it was a great game, but it just got kind of like disgusting at the end. And I I'm hoping tonight is like an actual just like all timer game 7, like back and forth battle. Obviously, I hope the Celtics win, but all you can really ask for at this point is like a good game,
Yeah.
an
I mean,
actual good game.
adding on to what you said about game 6, like Duncan Robinson missing two wide open threes is insane. Like
Oh, I
I
know.
I definitely thought one of them was going in. I feel like even though you might not admit, I feel like you kind of thought the same thing and
Oh, of
watching
course.
it.
I
Like
mean,
he
they
was
were
he was
great
wide
look.
open. Yeah.
They were great looks. The first one especially because like Caleb Martin got an offensive rebound on a free throw. And honest, I thought there was a foul down low. Like kind of how the whole play happened.
Mhm.
Everyone was like moving so slow. Like Martin had it down low and was like kind of like trying to get through traffic. And then he kicked it out. And then Duncan like caught it and took like a real slow dribble. And I was like, oh, this is like they blew the whistle and I didn't hear like we're gonna get more free throws. And then he put it up and I was like, oh, oh shit, that's a real shot. He missed the first one I thought was definitely going in. The second one I didn't feel so good about because, well, I mean, I felt good about it, but like in terms of actually it going in, because there was like 18 seconds left and he rushed into a pull up three.
Yeah.
And I understand like he is supposed to be that guy, but like if you look at the last 2 seasons, he hasn't been. And so
It
it's like, yeah,
was
you're having a good series
it
right
was
now, but
similar to the Jimmy Butler shot from was it last year or 2 years ago when
yeah,
he
last
fast
year.
break trying to
Yeah.
shoot it to win the
Now
game.
I think Tyler Hero knocks one or both those down
Agreed. I mean,
just because of
do you
like
want to
he's
go down the
out there.
list of injured Miami Heat players that probably would have knocked that shot down?
There's only one. It's him.
I mean, Victor. I mean,
Victor Oladipo's
maybe,
not making the shots.
maybe. Okay, before we get into music, here's my last question. I had another one, but I forgot it. Would you how on your meter of annoyance would you be more annoyed by the fact that it could have been over in 4 if the Celtics lose tonight? Would you be more annoyed at the fact that they led you on to believe that they're going to achieve the greatest comeback in NBA history? Or are you going to be less upset? because they
No,
actually
if they
showed something.
lost, if they lost in 5 or 6, I would have rather them get swept than lose in 5 or 6. Now that we're in 7, it's like, all right, here you know what I mean? No matter what happens in this game, no matter what happens in the offseason, it's like they fought all the way back as far as you can go without winning. And I think they're gonna win. You know what I mean? It's like I don't see a reason they're not gonna win. But I if they were gonna lose in 5 or lose in 6, I would have rather them just lost in 4.
Okay. So
Because then that's more like the leading on thing and being like, all right, there might be a chance. In 7, it's like, no, it's here. Like, you know what I mean? You have the opportunity in front of you to
so
win.
you're just happy to be here, which understandably you should be
It
for
it's
for
crazy.
now.
I mean, after 3-0, I was like, all right, they might get one like kind of like pride win. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, all right, we can't go out like this. And then 5, they came out strong. And then 6, once they showed Jimmy's feet behind the line on those free to get him 3 free throws to the end, I was like, it doesn't happen. Teams don't come back from 3-0. And I was kind of resigned to that. I was like, it doesn't happen. But I mean, here we are. And I think the comparison, obviously, it's an easy comparison to the 2004 Red Sox.
Mhm.
I'm not getting into that until, I mean, if they win, then sure, I'll be all in on that because, like, that is a cool thing that, both of them have done it. But as of right now, I'm not doing the whole, like, like, oh, this is like the same because it's not. I mean, that was like the underdog Red Sox versus the 5-time, well, like they were 26-time champ, but 5-time recent champ New York Yankees. So it's a little different. It wasn't, and this is like the 2 seed who should have won this series a long time ago versus the 8 seed who, like we said, snuck into the playoffs because they barely tried during the play-in.
Yeah, essentially. With that being said, welcome to the Cap episode 404. It's your weekly tour through hip hop. I am Nate Sperlin. That is Taylor McLeod. Thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Old Milk Media, and check out all the Old Milk merch on oldmilk.co. As you can see, I'm wearing it. Taylor's wearing it as well. Hey, Beanie Bros, we here. You feel me? All right. That being said, Taylor, besides probably your whole body shaking because you're nervous about Game 7, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm just glad that my basketball team's still playing. Honestly, like yeah, it's the conference finals and it's gonna be the finals. I'm glad that the Celtics are still playing because I might base a little bit of my schedule around their schedule in my life. So when things fall apart, things get a little dicey for me. I gotta watch Corey Kluber. So we're in a good spot right now.
Corey Kluber, Chris Sale, Garrett Whitlock, all your
Chris
favorite
Sale's
Red
Chris
Sox.
Sale's nasty again though.
I saw he's like 5.7 ERA though.
But that's because like the
Maybe he's
first
been
two
pitching
games
better.
in
Okay.
his last 7, he's like 2.23
Okay.
with like 11 strikeouts per 9, just like going crazy again.
All right. That's good. That's good to hear. Hopefully he doesn't get injured again. Not trying to put that out there, but just hopefully he doesn't. He actually finishes a season.
He
Um,
probably will.
that being said, Taylor, are you ready to get into power rankings
Yeah,
of
from one
albums?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, sorry, I was gonna skip power rankings and get from Chris Sale, one Chicago legend, to another
Oh,
out there.
nah. What are your power rankings for this week?
All right, so I have Goodbye and Good Riddance at number 3 because the 5-year anniversary last week. I've definitely been going back to that and just kind of like thinking about it in the scheme of things because again, it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years, but that would be 5. I have Ways of Knowing, or that would be 3, excuse me. I have Ways of Knowing by Navy Blue at 2, which is probably me just being kind and shifting it down so I don't have it at 1 every single week. And then honestly, Kate Tremina has been number 1 this week since it came out. That album's fun, and especially with summer coming up, that album is a real fun album, and I'm glad that you and I were kind of on the same page with it, and even like being on the same page as our wonderful friend Bobby Manning, that it was like a good album that we like kind of like, you know what I mean? It's definitely been my number 1 most played this week, and I keep going back to it, and I think it's really fun. It's a good album, and yeah, that's my number 1.
Yeah. For me, I have Kate Mine at number 3. I have Goodbye and Good Riddance at number 2, and I have SOS by SZA at number 1. Goodbye and Good Riddance, like Taylor said, 5-year anniversary, and I'm basically playing it like it's a new album. Um, the only real change here is Kate Mine at number 3, and like Taylor said, it's a really fun album. Today being the unofficial start of summer, might be playing this album a little bit more now. So we'll definitely see how that impacts my power rankings in the future. But from one segment to the next, we're gonna go through our verses segment before we get into Lil Durk Almost Healed. Today on Versus, or this episode on Versus, we are going to be discussing The Voice versus 7220, both albums by Lil Durk. Taylor, which one do you prefer?
I prefer The Voice, and I think that's looking back, it's 2021. That was like kind of the year of Lil Durk. He was arguably like the biggest rapper of that year. And for The Voice to come out at the end of December in 2020, it kind of kicked off that run for him. So I think The Voice over 7220. 7220 we reviewed. That was one of my first episodes with you. If not the first
It
episode
might
I
be the
did with
first
you.
one, or the
And
first
I
official
really
review.
like that album. And I remember going back through that album with you, and I remember liking it then. But I think that just like what The Voice kind of kicked off for the next year for Dirk means more within the broader landscape of the genre, and also just for him. So I would go The Voice.
Yeah. For me, I recognize how big and probably the most impactful album of Lil Durk's career, The Voice is. But in terms of playback value, I think 7220 gets it for me. I think and just for the simple fact that it's playback value, I went back to that one more than I did The Voice. And because of that, it's really a landslide, from my perspective at least. But on the other side of this commercial break, we will be talking about Lil Durk's Almost Healed. So stay tuned. Yo, this Young Lil album is the best of all time. I can't wait to talk to Taylor about it, man. This is gonna be the greatest thing ever.
Yo,
Yo, what's good, Taylor? How you doing?
I hate this album.
Do you have to clean your ears first?
My
What's wrong with you?
girlfriend said everything I play in the car scares her. She said I lost all my taste,
Clearly.
and I need your help.
Well, what am I supposed to do about it? You want me to order you Q-tips?
No, I need hoodies. I need a beanie. I need t-shirts. I need you to help.
All right, I'll see what I can do. I can send you this beanie, but everything else we're gonna have to see. Introducing the 2023 Old Milk Collection. This collection, comprised of hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and stickers designed by Nate Sperlin, is guaranteed to show everyone your superior style and taste. Man, I hope Taylor doesn't scare the viewers with that bummy outfit. Oh,
Yo.
no bummy outfit today. Look at that.
No, I'm much better. The album sounded better. Everything is better. All thanks to Old Milk.
Rush over to oldmilk.co to shop the 2023 Old Milk Collection today. And welcome back to episode 404 of the Cat Podcast, your weekly tour through hip hop. And on this episode, we will be talking about Almost Healed by Lil Durk. The album is 21 tracks and 57 minutes long, featuring Alicia Keys, J. Cole, Chief Wook, Future, 21 Savage, Kodak Black, Rob 49, Juice World, and Morgan Wallen. Currently on pace to sell 125 to 150,000 units first week, which will be a new record for Lil Durk's career. Join the conversation and let us know what you think about Almost Healed in the comments below. That being said, Taylor, what did you think about Almost Healed?
Yeah, so my first impression on this album, I think there was maybe not so much hype around this. I don't think hype is the right word, but I think there was a lot of anticipation for this album to see what Dirk did after 7220, after last year, kind of dealing with like some beef here and there. We had within the last 2 weeks, I mean, the Dirk and Young Boy, Dirk and 6ix9ine going back and forth, and kind of you and I talked about it a bunch, the possibility of Young Boy dropping the same day as Dirk, just to drop the same day as Dirk, and Dirk pushing back from, it was the 12th, I think. But
yes, it was the 12th.
Removing all of that, just musically, I really like this album. I think that Dirk is vulnerable on this album. I think that there's a lot of moments where his ability as a rapper shines. I think some of the hooks he definitely struggles to sing through, which is interesting because I don't really mind when he sings, but there's some of them where he really like gets into this like weird falsetto space that I haven't heard him like necessarily like try to get into before. But overall, I really like this. I like this project. I think at 21 tracks, there's definitely some stuff that feels a little like filler, some stuff that feels a little repetitive here and there, but the highs in this album are really high, and I think it carries it to a place that, you know, I have a lot of respect for this album. And I think that from the opener with Alicia Keys kind of going through like the therapy session, I think that this is just like a very, I don't know, it's I don't know if intentional is the right word, and I know we use that a lot. It's almost like a mature like Lil Durk album. Not to say the other ones haven't, but I think that's like where I see him. Like this is a 30-year-old Lil Durk now. It's not like 10 years ago Lil Durk. This is like a 30-year-old Lil Durk who's kind of like looking back at some stuff and putting it into perspective from a place where he is now as opposed to where he was.
Yeah. I think that this album, I think the narrative around Lil Durk has been that he's been a superstar for the past 2 years, I want to say, ever since he did that feature on Laugh Now, Cry Later by Drake. It kind of seemed like the industry was kind of pushing him to that superstar status. I think that this is the first album in his discography that actually comes through and cashes the check that the superstar status is talking about. Um, there's a lot of things. Just a lot of things about this album that I like. I think the first part to start is I think the concept is good. I think the concept of Lil Durk being almost healing from all the trauma and all the shit that he's gone through over his whole life. I think that concept is really, really good. I don't think it's fully executed to the way that it should, though. Obviously, you have Pelco, you have Therapy Session, which is with Alicia Keys, or is basically just Alicia Keys talking to Lil Durk. You also have All My Life that comes after those two tracks. And then maybe I'd include the fourth track in there, but then after that, it kind of seems like that whole concept was just dropped. It wasn't really a concept that was fleshed out throughout the full length of the album. It just seemed like it was something that was just for these four tracks. One of them with J. Cole, All My Life with J. Cole. That's where it really seems like that concept, the concentration of using that concept is. That being said, the music on it is still really, really good. A lot of the beats remind me of like future DS2, like probably directly future DS2. And some of the tracks that really make me feel that way are Big Dog, produced by ATL Jacob. Pretty sure Future is the ATL Jacob tag when you hear it on an ATL Jacob beat. You also have Before Fajr, which is produced by 808 Mafia, known to work with Future. War About It, produced by Metro, known to work with Future. Grandson, produced by Metro and Zaytoven, both known to work with Future. And then you have 300 Euros, produced by Wheezy, known to work with Future. And on that track, Future is also the producer tag for that one as well. So it's not really something that I'm here to say that, oh, Lil Durk is trying to bite Future's flow and he's trying to be 2015 Future or whatever, stuff like that. Absolutely not. Dirk has his own flow. He has his own cadence. He has his own way of doing things that has worked out really, really successful for him. But I do appreciate those types of beats and how Lil Durk navigates those beats because they remind me of back when everything was so much more simpler in 2015 and DS2 came out. Those are really my first thoughts. Also, one more thing. The track listing goes from melodic to no auto to melodic. And I think through that, that really shows the superstar status of Lil Durk because it's showing you that he has a whole bunch of different fan bases that he needs to appease. And I think that with that track listing, while it's not the most cohesive, it does work out to where everyone who is listening to Dirk for a specific reason is satisfied with that result. For me, I'm listening to Lil Durk for the no auto, so the middle of the album for me is really the highlight.
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of great points right there. And I think that when certain artists reach legit superstar status, which I would say Dirk is at, you have to put songs on the albums for everyone. You can't just do the 13 track, super pointed, super focused, like this is my almost healed album and this is step by step where it is, and you stay on that subject, because I think you hit the nail on the head. The first four songs are very focused on that, and then you have something for everyone for the next 10 or so tracks. And I think it kind of circles back around to that theme by the end. I think it's almost like it's like the actual album is like the first third and the second third, and that middle third is like, all right, we got to do the streaming numbers, we got to have the songs that people are going to be putting in playlists, because he's at that point. And it's not like where he can just do the and everyone wants this from every artist, and it's just not realistic sometimes to get 444 from every artist.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's the reason Drake has 20 tracks on every album. It's the reason like Dirk does it. It's the reason future albums have gotten longer and longer. It's the reason that all these rappers have to, because and yeah, like some of them can be like, no, I'm gonna do my, you know what I mean? Like I'm not doing that. And that's great. And that's why, we have a lot of respect for some of the independent artists and some of the smaller artists who are able to hold on to that. But where Dirk is, he just doesn't have, it's almost like he doesn't have a choice sometimes. He has to put some of those songs on there because it's like we need this to move in a certain way. And when those projection numbers, like you mentioned, like when those projection numbers start to get bigger and bigger, it's like you have to keep climbing. And it's in because it's not like he's a 40-year-old rapper who's been in it for 20 years and is on the back end. Like he's still going up. And so you have to keep climbing at that point. So I think that does maybe take away from a little the intentionality of this project, but he shines so bright on so many points. And I love what you're talking about with Future, because I mean, obviously, as you could probably imagine, never imagined on this is my, like, we'll get to it, but like that's the one for me. And I
Mhm.
almost think that when like Future kind of leads the way, Dirk is perfect to be like, all right, like it's like kind of like Future opens the door and then Dirk's here, and it's like, yeah, that's like, and obviously we've seen Future in that role with a lot of people before. And I mean, Juice World probably did it better than anybody else in terms of the relentlessness, really being able to just keep going and keep going and keep going on track after track. But it was really interesting to kind of hear Future open that door and be like, all right, I'm gonna set the stage, and then like there, you keep it going. And I think he did a great job with that. So I think there's certain pitfalls on this album that almost feel unavoidable just because of how music works now.
Mhm.
But when you overlook those, when you kind of put those out of mind, like I think this is a very strong project, despite maybe the execution of the theme itself maybe not being there like we'd hoped.
Yeah. Um, I like that you start talking about Juice WRLD. You also start talking about Future. I think those are the two songs where you see Lil Durk not only, I think, going at least off of the first listen from a lot of people, the main story was like Dirk playing with his voice. But I also see Dirk playing a lot with like song construction as well. Like when you see Juice World being the artist on the hook, and then the first verse, and then Lil Durk is the second verse, and then Juice WRLD is the hook again, and it basically kind of feels like a Juice WRLD song. That's interesting to me. Lil Durk also does that with the Future song as well. Never Imagine. He also does that where Future is the hook. I'm not sure if Future is the first verse or the second verse, but the point is that Future is on the majority of the song. There are also some tracks where there's no hook at all, and it's just Lil Durk rapping. Like Before Fodger is one of those. 300 Euros is one of those as well. And I think those are really the more, for lack of a better word, grimy in the trenches tracks. And those are really in the middle. Now, the one thing I do disagree with what you said, Taylor, or the one thing that I do disagree with it is that the tracks for the streaming numbers are in the middle. I feel like they're more towards the end. Because when you look at having Morgan Wallen on a track and understanding the numbers that he does, despite all the controversy around him, I think that that's a track for numbers. I also think the track with J. Cole, understanding that J. Cole was always going to do numbers regardless. And if I'm not mistaken, actually I didn't check. Let me not even say anything about that. But I'd be surprised if All My Life isn't a top 10 track on the Billboard charts right now. Um, that's what J. Cole. Lil Durk is also coming to his own as a superstar, as we've been talking about. I think that's another one that is out of the 21 tracks, I think that the one with Morgan Wallen and I think the one with J. Cole are really the ones that are supposed to carry the album in terms of metrics. I think that towards the middle, it's really more so for his core fan base, the fan base that he first had, where before he was doing the melodies and stuff like that, he was like just rapping about like straight street shit. And then the outside, it's kind of like a sandwich, really. It's kind of like a appeasement sandwich where you're appeasing like your uh mainstream fan base with the bread, which is like the beginning and the end of the album, and then you're appeasing your core fan base with the middle, which is like, as I said before, like the street tracks. It's really an appeasement sandwich, and it was done perfectly. And as we're saying, like if Lil Durk is going to level up in that way to become a real superstar, real top 10 rapper in hip hop, this is something that he needs to do. And I think that this is a great way to start it. But like Taylor has said, there are some raisins in here, and we can get to those probably now, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even like I listened to the song of Morgan Wallen, but I won't do it again.
Yeah.
Like they have two songs together now, and I saw like Instagram picture they posted like fishing together. It just went like viral on social a little bit. So Yeah, that song is definitely for the streaming, and I know that, like, Morgan Wallen's been, like, number 1 album for, like, 22 weeks or something crazy like that at this point. All My Life, though, is really interesting because I think that's a really good song, and I actually waited to listen to it until it came out with the album because I wanted to hear it within the context of the album. I saw, like, the clips of it, but where I said that Future kind of set the stage for Lil Durk on Never Imagined, I think Durk sets the stage for J. Cole, and J. Cole kind of follows Durk's lead on that
Yeah.
song. Like J. Cole switches how he does this with a lot of with when he gets on features, and that's something I like about him, honestly, is that he kind of fits himself into someone else's world as opposed to being like, all right, this is a J. Cole song. Like when Drake gets on a feature, it's a Drake song. You know, this feels like a Lil Durk song. This doesn't feel like a J. Cole song to me. Um, and so, yeah, I think you're probably right about the streaming numbers. And I think I meant more with the middle is like the playlist stuff. It's like that's for the fans who are taking
Mhm.
the stuff out of it and they're being like, no, this is like the one for me. This is the one for me. And yeah, so like the Morgan Wallen one, I honestly I listened to it once and I was like, all right, I get it. Like, yeah, that's smart business, I guess. I'm not going back to it, but All My Life with Cole, obviously that's already is a huge song and it has like the choir on the hook and everything. So it's like it has that like the every quality of a song to really go beyond just within the album and it's Cole. So that is what it is too. So yeah.
Yeah. A couple more things before we get into favorite tracks and rating the album. Um, the best feature here on this album is Kodak. On Grandson, just perfect cadence, perfect tempo for the beat where Kodak can really do his thing. 21 Savage also obviously always does his thing. Like, am I really surprised about that? No. Same thing with Future. Like, Future always does his thing. I'm not really surprised about that. It's just like, all right, you did what you're supposed to do. Have a cookie or something, I guess. That's really it. Do you want to get into favorite tracks?
Yeah, so I have 5 of them. I love Pellicoat up top. I love that song. I think that's super introspective song where he's like looking back, but also kind of like talking from where he is now. Same side with Rob 49. The energy that Rob 49 brings to start that song is insane. Like I don't know how much I'll listen to that song, but like just him coming in on I love it. I love it when a feature starts the song because it's like, all right, this is like Dirk, like giving this guy an opportunity, and he's like, all right, he's all over it. Um,
I'm at
at
Dirk. I can't lose.
Yeah, I know exactly. At 3, I have sad songs. At 2, I have At This Point We Stuck, and then number 1 is Never Imagine with Future. I think that I've already listened to that so many times. Like that's when I go to listen to this album, I play that one first and then listen to it again in the context of the album. And then like I'll probably keep playing that. I think the Future's raps on that are so good. Like that is the motivational Future that I love. And I like it's the Andre 3000 quote. He makes the saddest motivational music ever. And it's true. And we've heard so many rumors about Beast Mode 3, DS3s in the works. And that verse kind of was like, all right, Future's here. Future is in a place where he's really really going. So that's my number 1 is Never Imagined.
All right. From 5 to 1, I have Moment of Truth. I'm gonna say this probably every episode. I'm a sucker for a good outro. Really good outro there. Never Imagine is number 4. Big Dog is number 3. War About It is number 2, and Grandson is number 1. Um, Again, just the tempo of it is just like it's just Lil Durk and Kodak just talking their shit. 21 Savage's verse on War About It was crazy. Big Dog is really more so because that's really the start of me feeling like Almost Healed is like a DS2 um knockoff, I guess, for lack of a better term. Never Imagine it's Future. It's Future. I don't have to explain more than that, I don't think. And I already explained Moment of Truth. All right, moving on. How would you rate this album from a personal playback value and an objective playback value?
Personally, I like this album a lot. I think I'm going to keep it in rotation. I think I'll keep it in rotation honestly until Future drops because that's it. I hadn't thought of it as a DS2 or like related to DS2 at all, but now that I have that context from you, I know I'm going to go back through it and listen to it. And it's not like a like you said knockoff, and I don't know the right word, but it's almost like his version of that, like his version of like
Homage, I guess.
the real like he's already had the projects that put him on the mainstream map, the superstar map, but this is the one where he feels like so confident in what he's doing and he can do a bunch of different things and he does all that. So personally for me, I'm definitely going to keep this in rotation for a long time. I think Dirk is just on such a path, and he means so much to multiple different areas of hip hop, and I think he's really important with how rap music is the direction it's moving in right now, and it's important to have figures like him who have a decade in the game who are still getting better and still kind of like cementing their place, and it's not one song from this person that goes big on YouTube and one song that goes, it's like, no, he has 10 years in this and more than 10 years in this. And that I love that continuity. So personally, I'm definitely going to keep this in rotation for a while. I think that songs like All My Life and the song of Morgan Wallen will also keep this in the mainstream conversation for a long time. So I think that the overall playback value, the overall staying power of this album will be high. I don't really know in terms of Billboard top 40, top 200, but I know that those songs will do insane numbers, especially the one with Morgan Wallen. I'm glad you brought that up just in terms of the pure streaming numbers, because that song will do numbers.
Yeah. My personal playback value, I see it being 4 months. I actually counted it out in my head. We're at the end of May, so June, July, August, and then maybe September. I'll probably be playing this still. And then if it goes further than that, then either this year sucks or this album is really, really good. But that remains to be seen. Objective playback value, I got 6 months. Again, I think that if this album is really well, first of all, the past two Lil Durk albums have been doing really well for a really long time after they've been released. But I think that if Lil Durk is really going to put himself in the conversation for top 10 rapper, undisputed in hip hop right now, I think that this album needs to last at least 6 months and possibly even a year. So if it lasts a year, then everything that we are saying before about this is being Lil Durk's come out party, if you will, is 1000% true. But I think 6 months is the floor, and the ceiling is the floor sometimes. That being said, this is the Cat Podcast, episode 404. Thank you for watching. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think about Almost Healed in the comments. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media, and check out the Old Milk Beanie with the Beanie Boys today. Check that out on oldmilk.co. We'll be back when hip hop tells us to be. We are out. Old Milk.